For all of the bravado about the University of Michigan, they have 1.5 national championships in 70 years.
Wow, that is just
I will admit that stat took me a bit by surprise, and it seems to have thrown our.
So I got my brother here. I have to ask. What did Michigan do to you? What do we do? Is it Harbaugh?
No,
is it the maize and blue? What do we do?
I tried to get in. I got rejected.
Well, ESPN's Ryan McGee had some interesting stuff on Harbaugh. He writes, because of the struggles that they've gone through early in his tenure and the addition of the dynamic quarterback in Shea Patterson, that Harbaugh is now facing his most pressure-packed season at Ann Arbor. This is here's the quote. Few believe that Harbaugh's job is in danger, but most everyone believes that here on the eve of that crucial fourth year, Harbaugh is standing squarely at a State Street-like crossroads. Its time of ultimate judgment having finally arrived. So Paul Finebaum again, and Jalen sort of set it up for those of you who don't know Paul. You are an Harbaugh critic. I think it's fair to describe you as that. You've been critical of him too.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I thought Michigan fans were the worst, but that was until the Urban Meyer situation. Now I'm pretty sure Ohio State fans are the most sycophantic in all of college football. So I'm moving your way.
Having said that, do you believe that about Harbaugh? In fact, I'm going to phrase the question this way because we talked about this in the meeting. Michigan Notre Dame play a huge season opener this weekend. Which coach needs a big year more, Harbaugh or Brian Kelly?
I actually think it's Brian Kelly. Starting with the game being at home, he did well last year, but he was on the hot seat last year. Greenies, we talked about a lot of times. The season before was a mess. He has handled situations there very poorly. And I think Harbaugh overall is, I mean, if you said, which coach would you choose to coach, I would take Jim Harbaugh every day of the week over Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly is not that much of an elite coach. Harbaugh is. He just has struggled. With Shea Patterson, he's got a real chance to make a run.
It's a huge opener. Jalen, are you starting to get nervous already for Michigan Notre Dame?
I'm not nervous. I understand where Paul is coming from as it relates to Jim Harbaugh, because when you come in and you're 10-3, you're 10-3, and you're 8-5, you will have people outside of Ann Arbor feeling like he may be on the hot seat. But in my opinion, as a Michigan alum, I think he will have that job as long as he wants to.
I agree with that, by the way.
But Jalen, not to be a party pooper here in my first
and maybe
only appearance ever on this
it's fun.
set,
I like it.
But at some point, you have to beat Ohio State. And let's say it goes the other way this year. That's 0-4. That's an ugly mark against your fiercest rival in one of the great rivalry games in college football.
And I understand what you're saying. They're 1-5, as a matter of fact, against Ohio State and Michigan State. For Harbaugh, who did a great job in the NFL, even when he changed out Alex Smith during the year and put in Colin Kaepernick, he's been, and as a former quarterback, I think that's what he's been missing. That elite level guy that he can put under center.
Someone needs to say that I know they're 1-5 in these rivalry games, but the crazy ending of that game against Michigan State with the punt and then a terrible call, in my opinion, on a fourth down spot against Ohio State. And who knows if everything isn't completely rewritten differently. I get it. Sports are filled with ifs and buts, and I understand that. But I think that sometimes I think the criticism of Harbaugh is too much. And I'm not even looking at you when I say that. I'm looking at Beetle. She's been very critical of Jim Harbaugh.
But the way the season ended, I mean, listen, forget, you can pick anything you want out. They had, I think, a 19-3 lead against South Carolina in a bowl game on New Year's Day and just got run over. That's the problem that Jim Harbaugh is having. He's losing games like that. I mean, he was a hair away from being in the national championship run 2 years ago. But I think ultimately he also, for all of his greatness, comes off really quirky, really weird, and he's outside of that little bubble that you live in up there, Jalen. He's hard to like.
Those are things that are endearing when you're winning, and when you're not winning, it becomes a little different. Let's talk about his arch rival. Can I move this quickly?
Yeah, but unlike Ohio State and Michigan State, he's not embroiled in controversy.
True.
Like those.
And that has helped Jim Harbaugh, because Urban Meyer comes out looking much worse than Jim Harbaugh. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is just a weird dude.